What's up, y'all? It's your girl Phoenix Novell, and thank you for tuning in to another Musicians on Gigs episode. Now, this episode is called What It Was Like Performing in Qatar.
I know I like to desensitize, but this girl's got you on her mind. Something about your walk, talk, smile so bright, kinda something like my kryptonite. I'm not easy, believe me, but I know what I want. It's special, gotta let you know. So let's have some fun. You're still remembering. I'm so ready to go. Bring your body real close to me. For a lot of romance. What's your fantasy? You and me tonight. Let's let the trace. You and me tonight. Rock waves. You and me tonight. Baby.
I have to say this about performing in Qatar. Of all the places that I've performed over the last 15 plus years, Qatar was pretty much the only place where the client was very particular about how the band was dressed, and how we were dressed on advertisements, billboards and in magazines, and when we did the promotion. It's heavily dominated with the Muslim religion, and so even though a lot of people that came and partied with us and enjoyed the show were Muslim, drinking and smoking and the whole nine, it was very important for them to portray an image to the general public of us kind of having our skirts or our dresses close to our knees, and looking presentable so as to not entice or come across as if we were selling, sex, or being too sexy. So that stood out because it wasn't just like, do your thing, be you, it was like, no, let me see what you're going to wear. All right, let me see this. Now put it on. Let me see how far up your leg it comes, blah, blah, blah. So that was one thing I noticed off bat, like, wow, they are not playing here. Qatar was a magical experience, to be really honest. It was almost like my first experience in Singapore, where it was just like, this place was like unreal, kind of, being from the USA and going overseas. It just was like, it was like a dream. Like they were building it. They were still building it when I was out there. And I was just so impressed because it was like I was getting to see these structures being built. It was like, I don't know, I'm trying to describe it, but it was like I was in The Sims or something, where it was just large, areas of just nothing yet, and just open road, and then there's a highway here, and then there's just this, huge buildings and this huge mall, and beautiful hotels. There's sheiks there, I think that's the way to say it, sheiks or sheiks. There's royalty there, and these kind of royalty will come and see the band perform, buying drinks for everybody, coming up there, tipping us like crazy. You just felt like you were in Arabian Nights or something. It felt like it was just like a movie, is what I'm trying to say. And it was the only place that I had ever gigged where I stayed in a full-on villa, like a villa, all right? And there was no food budget. What I mean by that was there was no limit to the food budget. We could order whatever we want. We could wake up and have lobster if we wanted. It was just crazy. I'm sure now they probably realize why that might not be such a good deal. But my band, we really were, we were well-mannered. And we didn't take advantage. But I think I was there over Christmas. I think I spent a Christmas out there, if I'm not mistaken. And that's when we kind of went crazy. Because it was like, hey, we ain't got to pay for that. But, I mean, some of the best food I've ever had in my life. There was a golf cart that used to come and collect the band from our villa to and from work. It was just like, And the villa wasn't even so far away from the actual venue that we worked in. You know, we worked in a Grand Hyatt, if I'm not mistaken, and it was like walking distance. But I wish I could describe how luxurious the experience was living out there. I don't mind heat, you know, so you talking to the wrong person when you think, oh, wasn't hot out there? Yes, it was hot out there, but I like heat. You know what I'm saying? I am a December born baby, and I've never liked the cold, so I don't mind at all. But I felt like Qatar, it was very in terms of like I said, it just wasn't fully developed when I was there myself. So there were places that were hot spots that everybody was going. It would be like this was the circuit. This was the hot club that you go to for hip hop and R&B. This was the club you went to for live music. This was the mall you went to. This was, you know, so there was things set up that I learned about. I'm not really a party girl, but the more people got to know me, the more they're like, come hang out with us. And I'm like, I don't drink. They're like, it's okay. So there were a few people that I got to know that I knew that I could be myself around and wouldn't feel pressured to do anything I didn't want to do, that I started hanging out with. And look, people have their faith and their beliefs, you know, and that's all nice and well, but they turned up. The party was still on and popping. And the venue that my band worked in, inside of the Grand Hyatt, they also had a very, 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 very popular nightclub downstairs. So after we got off stage, most of the people who were watching us upstairs wanted to go downstairs so that they could actually turn up even more with a DJ and really be popping. I mean, they got it on out there in Qatar, you know, so I was surprised with that too because of the venue that we were working in, and it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. You know, I expected, especially because of how they were very adamant about knowing about carefully displaying ourselves. But once we were in the venue and on the stage, I could wear whatever I wanted to because, you know, to get into the club you had to be a certain age and everything. But the experience there was, when it comes to the nightlife, most of them are all the same. When it comes to the nightlife, most of them are all the same. The only difference, I mean, you'll have language differences where they'll have their hip hop or their R&B in their native tongues. They'll still play the top 40, you know, the music that everybody all over the world knows, but they will also mix in, the DJs will also mix in whatever is local to their, you know, to the people, and you'll see them getting down. But that beat's still hard, you know, that bass still thumping, and people are just drinking and smoking and touching and feeling and rubbing and enjoying themselves, like legit. I mean, there was an experience that I had in Qatar where I was made uncomfortable because I was offered a drink. You know, I think it was my band's debut night, and there was a man who came up to the table, and he was like, came up to the stage right after my band finished their first set and was like trying to give out champagne to all of the to the band members. And he got around to me, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, I don't drink, you know. Now, mind you, listen, I don't drink, but I've taken a sip of champagne, or I've taken a sip of something somebody gave me, just to be polite, or to do a toast or a cheer or whatever. And, you know, sometimes I pretend, or sometimes I just do it and I put it to the back, but sometimes I take a swig. I've never been drunk. I've never been tipsy to the point where I'm just like, you know, I've never been like that. So, and this was I usually don't do anything like that in the beginning of the night, because I've seen non-drinkers become alcoholics. You know, I've seen performers, you know, start at the beginning of the show, and then by the end of the show, you know, people are bringing them drinks because they saw them drink from somebody else, and it gets to a point where it's just like you don't really know the boundaries. And so I've always had this thing about me where I need to be in control, but it's always tricky. It's always tricky because you don't know how this other person's going to receive it, and you also don't know, like, you don't know the culture, you know. And sometimes it's like, if it's a man, he might be aggressive. Women sometimes will understand a little bit more, but sometimes men can be like, this particular time, this customer was trying to tell me that it was rude and disrespectful to not accept the drink from the sheikh. So apparently this drink was given by the sheikh or the sheikh royalty, and I'm like I don't know what to tell you, you know. And this guy spoke very, very good English, but he was ready to make a big deal about it. He was getting loud. He's still holding the drink up. Everybody else in your band drank this. Why can't you drink this? It's from the sheikh, you know. And I guess this guy worked for the sheikh, but he was definitely not trying to, you know, let me go undetected. He was like, this is a sign of disrespect. And I remember my boss kind of perking up because he was sitting at the table still watching us, and he made his way over very politely, you know, very kind, very cool. You know, my ex-boss was a kind of a, you know, stocky guy, so he knew how to diffuse the situation. He kind of was like, hey, you met the band leader, da, da, da. It just kind of took control. Said, hey, let me grab this drink right here. You know, I really don't like the band leader to drink because blah, blah, blah. You know, she's in church. And this guy kind of became completely somebody else. It was like he was just like docile, like, okay, yeah. Because now my boss was entertaining him, and he took the champagne and toasted him. And he was able to protect me. You know, he was able to make me feel like, no, you don't have to at all, under any condition, be uncomfortable or do something you don't want to do. Of course, you have to remain professional. Of course, you have to you have to wear that hat and represent the company that you work for. But by no means do you have to match whatever their level of intensity is. Just because, you know, they're being aggressive, you don't have to be aggressive. You can just kindly, I'm sorry, I can't. I'm sorry, you know, no disrespect, whatever. But I think he saw that I was kind of confused, because I'm like, all right, what do I do here? Like, is this really a disrespect? You know, in other places it's like, oh, okay, you don't drink, all right, fine, whatever, go ahead, bougie. But here he's like, it's disrespectful, you know. And I'm thinking, oh my God, is that an Arabic thing? Like, is that what it is? Like, do I really, like, is there a crime? Is there a punishment? Am I banned? So my mind was running, and I saw my boss kind of like, so I appreciated that. So that was my first introduction into Qatar. So I was like, all right, they come to the club, they having a good time, but at the same time they are conditioned. The men, oh my gosh, there was an aggressiveness to the men there, very touchy-feely, very pushy, very territorial. Even the ones who had wives or girlfriends, it was surprising, like I said, because of what I thought about what Qatar was going to be like. You know, what I saw, my preconceived ideas of, oh, you know, everything. No, there is a mindset, and again, these are Arabic men. There was a very dominating kind of feeling. Even when the guy was trying to force the drink on me, he was not afraid to power or tower over me and make me feel, or try to intimidate me into doing it. And I was just so happy, because my old boss, he's actually from Lebanon himself, so I think he's aware of how to deal with these kind of individuals. The band, we lived in the villa together. It was huge. It was more than enough space. I'm not a big fan of living with band members, but again, this was one of those experiences that the villa was like brand new. You know, they had cleaners come and clean up the spot. There was no issues about dirty dishes in the sink. It was just, you know, there was nobody smoking in the house, or the team I was with, it was a trio, so it was pretty small, and I was a band leader, like I said, so it was not a lot of drama at all. And the venue did our laundry. We got to make our own set list. Nobody was riding us, you know what I'm saying? Nobody was riding us, and I was able to DJ on that gig as well and perform. And I became really cool with the staff, you know. Now, outside of the gig, like, again, those people partied hard. They partied hard. They came, they didn't just come and sit down and enjoy themselves and look good. They came to dance, and they wasn't afraid to dance. They was beautiful, but they wasn't afraid to dance. There's a lot of working girls, you know, a lot of working girls out there in Qatar. you know, they move around, you know, and there were some regulars that I noticed came through, became cool with the band. I ain't got no problem. I see you doing your thing. Get it how you get it, you know. But I noticed some from all over the world. They were there. It wasn't just, you know, it wasn't just one nationality or ethnicity. They were all, it was a plethora of them from all over the world. And I heard some things about them. I'm not sure if it's true or not, but there was some speculations that they were like, there was a system in place. Again, I'm not going to really talk about it, but like it was almost like they were protected, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Not just you can show up and just start giving it away. But I think it was just, what I was hearing was that it was just a matter of safety and security. And, you know, if you're going to be here, you're going to be here this way. But I digress again. I remember I was videotaping for the band one night because our company wanted bands to videotape the shows so that they can get an idea of how the show flowed and they can get a feel for the customer experience. And, you know, I had the camera set up at an angle so that, you know, the band could be seen. But it just so happened that at this venue, there was like customer couching, like VIP seating in the corner close to the stage. I remember after I finished recording, I think one of the security guards or like assistants or whatever of the sheik or the sheikh or this man who was kind of always there like once or twice a week, royalty, he saw me like dismounting the camera, and as soon as he came over, like as soon as he saw me, he came over there like a bat out of hell, like, I'm gonna need you to show me the footage. Like, I was like scared as hell because, like I said, I was a band leader. So I'm like, little on me, you know. And the manager of the venue was a woman who was smaller than me. So I was just like, oh, what are we gonna do up in here? So I showed him, and there was just one little clip where he moved him, the assistant, not the sheik. He moved kind of close to the stage. I think he was going to the bathroom, and he was in that shot. He sat there and made me like literally delete the clip. Like he reviewed it with me, made me delete it while he was sitting there. He's like, no, nothing ever. None of us on video camera. They don't work like that. Like, he completely shut it down. This guy reminded me of Bluto, whatever that guy name is. That's Popeye's arch nemesis. That's who he reminded me of. He wasn't playing with me. He was tall. He was just thick all around. And I was just like, okay, no problem, whatever. Like, you know, I was just doing what I was supposed to do for my boss. It wasn't my personal video anyway, but this dude wasn't having it. So that was a little scary. Outside of the gig life over there, very clean. And it was hot as hell outside. But the malls, anytime you went indoors, it was like an ice box. They ain't play. You know, and a lot of them were wearing their, I'm not sure what the full body Muslim garment is called, but a lot of them were wearing that, you know, and just didn't really have much underneath. Very lightly dressed, like flowy material. A lot of them were wearing that out and about in the public. But I was always in like a, you know, bundled up to go to, I mean, freezing in there, hot as hell outside. Such a juxtaposition. But like I said, very clean. It was hard for me to shop there because they didn't really have anything that I would wear on stage, kind of risque, in the stores. You know, it wasn't like something that you just saw in the stores. And but it was beautiful. I felt safe there. I felt like the gig life was really cool there. That experience was really awesome because, like I said, I got to DJ, I got to sing with my band, and the crowd really welcomed us and loved us and made us feel like, you know, they wanted us there. They weren't afraid to communicate and talk. They weren't afraid to, again, a lot of people there also spoke multiple languages too. You know, of course they spoke Arabic, but a lot of them spoke Spanish and French too. And I was like, oh, just like Morocco. I was like, oh, wow. You know, once again, I felt stupid. Like, damn, I only speak one language. But in a nutshell, Qatar was pretty awesome. I definitely would go back. I would definitely gig again there. Nightlife was on and popping. Like, the venues were packed because there weren't that many of them. You know, there was places to go, and the places that were up and running, they were dope. I mean, the layout, the decorations, the way they put it together for people who they knew was going to spend money. Like, they gave you something to spend money on. That's the first place that I heard "I'm in love with the coco," which is just not my thing. But I mean, look, I'm a producer, so the track and the bass I'm listening to was happening underneath what you're saying. But if you put a melody on top of that just lines, he could have said anything. I'm in love with my pesos, you know. I'm in love with my whatever, with the do, whatever. He could have said anything because it was the way that beat dropped. Boom. I'm in love. And the whole club went crazy. That was the first place I heard that song. I was like, damn. So yes, once again, that was my experience in Qatar. And you have tuned into Musicians on Gigs. If you guys have any topics, any questions, or you're an artist and you want to be interviewed by me, it doesn't matter if you're a DJ, if you're an instrumentalist, if you're a vocalist or whatever, rapper, if you would like to be interviewed by your girl, send me an email at musiciansongigs@gmail.com. That's musiciansongigs@gmail.com, and we can set something up. Thanks again, guys, for tuning in, and stay tuned for the next episode.